It seems like everyone and their mother has adopted a new puppy during the pandemic. And while a furry friend can provide much needed companionship during isolation, making sure your new dog is well adjusted can get a little complicated with quarantining. So, how do you socialize your puppy while social distancing? Let's bark about it. Hey, all you doggo lovers, I'm Bernie Zilio, and this is Alpha Paw, your destination for everything dog. I'm on a mission to answer every doggone question you've ever had about your fur babies. And today, we're talking about how we can socialize our puppies while still social distancing. Fortunately for us, we have an expert vet, Dr. Ross Bernstein, with us today. Dr. Ross is a seasoned veterinary professional and pet care expert. He earned his doctorate degree in veterinary medicine at the #1 veterinary school in the world, UC Davis School of Veterinary Medicine, where he was trained under the guidance of some of the world's most renowned veterinary professionals. His work has been featured in several industry-leading publications, including the Journal of Veterinary Surgery. Dr. Ross now works with our team to ensure we're exclusively promoting the highest quality products, the most authoritative resources, and the most accurate information available today. Hi, Dr. Ross. Thanks for being here.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Thanks for having me.
So the topic of the day is trying to socialize our puppies while still social distancing. So I guess the first question would be, what does socialization even mean?
Socialization is the process of preparing your puppy or dog to become comfortable and enjoy their interactions with other dogs, people, and other activities. So, for example, if you were taking your dog to the park, you'd want them to enjoy the experience without becoming fearful or aggressive.
Now, is there a specific time where you should be socializing your dog? Should they be puppies? Can they be adults?
Yeah, I think as soon as you adopt your dog, you should start socializing them. And I'll get into more details of that, what I mean. They can probably start their socializing as young as a few weeks old, like 3 weeks old. And then even when you adopt them, you can start socializing them. But you probably should not socialize them with other dogs until they've been vaccinated. And even more specifically, until they've been vaccinated against distemper and parvovirus and had at least one booster. That's usually around 12 weeks old, but to be safe, I'd recommend probably doing it around 12 to 16 weeks old.
So I know a lot of people think that socializing means solely interactions with other dogs, but as you mentioned, it involves a lot of other things, right?
Yeah, it's not just dogs. It involves people. It involves going to other places. It involves riding in the car. It can be all sorts of things. And socialization also includes getting them familiar with touching their paws, touching their head, touching their ears, so that, for example, when you have to trim their nails, they don't completely freak out and think you're trying to kill them and pee and lose their bowels all over the place. That's not fun for anyone.
Yeah, we definitely don't want that. But so how should we be introducing our dogs to like new sights, smells, sounds, all of that stuff?
Some dogs, just like people, are going to be different than other dogs. You have to look at your dog's personality. And some dogs that are very energetic and more outgoing, it might be easier to get them accustomed to new dogs and people and interactions. But if your dog is one of those that's more fearful and more shy, you can do it more slowly and give them treats and positive rewards and more attention and praise when they do something good. Now, for example, like the example that I said earlier about trimming their nails, and just like when you're petting them at home, you can not just pet their head and their back, but go down and mess with their finger or their toes. Or if you want to brush their teeth, you can lift up their gums. And if you want to get them used to having a bath, you can start early as well. And that also will help your vet and your veterinary and your vet staff. So when you do bring them to the vet, they are not like, what is going on? Why are you touching me in these places?
Definitely. So that actually makes me think about my own dog. He's great with people. He's great with other dogs, but he's petrified of like loud sounds or like bicycles or strollers. And those are things that I don't really have access to. So how can I get him accustomed to things like that?
So you can do it really slowly, and it's more difficult and requires more energy and patience for some dogs, definitely, than others. some ways, if he was a puppy, a classic example that veterinarians recommend is saying to go to Home Depot, for example. That's a place where they're not going to be exposed to other dogs, for example, that you don't know their vaccination status, but there's going to be tons of new smells, tons of new sounds and power tools and random things going on. And so you can give them a reward for taking them to a new place and having these new experiences.
I've never heard that, taking your dog to Home Depot, but I kind of love it.
Yeah, it could be a place where there's lots of new sounds and smells and things going on where there aren't necessarily other dogs. That's a good place to start for puppies.
I know what Pod's plans are this weekend. We're going to Home Depot and he's getting used to all those sounds.
If he's an adult dog like Pod and he gets really scared of sounds. So sometimes and this you might have to find out what works for your dog, but when they do display the appropriate behavior, you can reward them. And so that means if they're the type of dog that anytime there's a loud noise in the front of your house, they run and hide. You can reward them when they don't and comfort them when they don't. And then when they do get scared, you don't want to reinforce that bad behavior by giving them treats and saying like, that's okay. But at the same time, you want to let them know what the right behavior is.
So I know that social distancing is obviously taking over our lives. And that does affect how pet owners or new pet owners can socialize their dogs. So do you have any recommendations for, I guess, socializing your dog during a quarantine?
If you're outside, then the 6 feet of distancing shouldn't be too much of a problem. But if you're taking your dog to the park, for example, or to meet other dogs or other people, I'd recommend doing it with people that you know or people that are in your family, that you know their health status, and the other dogs that they're meeting, you know their vaccination status, especially if they're puppies. But if you're outside, the risk of transmission of COVID-19 is much lower.
So let's say you're walking your dog, you happen to pass someone, they pet your dog, you find out later that this person was positive for COVID-19. Is there any chance that your dog can both contract it and, I guess, give it to you as well?
I'm going to say theoretically it's possible, but it's highly, highly unlikely. So the virus likes to stick on very slick surfaces like tile or just flat surfaces like doorknobs or door handles. But a dog's fur is going to be very porous. And so the virus is not likely to stay on your dog's hair coat for that long. And unless that person is very symptomatic and coughing and sneezing all over their hands or all over your dog and they pet your dog, I would say the risk of transmission is very low. It's not impossible. I've never seen a case personally. I don't know any other veterinarians that have also seen cases where someone else pet their dog and they or their dog contracted the virus. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's highly unlikely.
Well, that's comforting. Good. Yeah, that's very comforting. And also, if anyone sneezed all over my dog, I would call the police, whether or not they were positive for coronavirus. Do you have more questions for Dr. Ross? Put them down in the comment section below to be featured in a future video. Again, I'm Bernie Zilio, and this is Alpha Paw. Be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss one doggone episode. See you next time.